They may have stunned us on screen, but some of the stories from behind the scenes in the MCU are even more shocking. Their on-screen dynamics and chemistry is what endears us to them, and it's hard to imagine any other actors playing these Marvel figures. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the best behind-the-scenes stories of our favorite Marvel actors. From wearing secret prosthetics, finding out that you got the role through social media, and even flashing a fellow castmate, these are some of the most shocking behind-the-scenes moments. Screen Ranters, assemble. Chris Hemsworth is Australia's biggest gift to the world since, well, Hugh Jackman, and his improvisational skills and charm have really brought the character of Thor to life.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
But one of the best moments of Hemsworth as Thor is him as Fat Thor in Avengers Endgame, with a hilarious performance and parody of the dude from The Big Lebowski. And although he may have crushed the part easier than his strong hands can crush a walnut, that doesn't mean that getting into the fat suit was easy. Instead of putting on pounds by eating, Hemsworth wore a fat suit, which apparently weighed 70 pounds, as well as wearing a wig and fake beard, and pads on the inside of his mouth to puff out his cheeks. Hemsworth described wearing the suit as the hottest that he has ever been, which is ironic because looking at Chris Hemsworth is the hottest I have ever been. One of these days, he will return my calls. One of the best and funniest post-credit scenes is the shawarma scene at the end of the original Avengers movie.
You ever tried shawarma?
With Iron Man, Thor, and the rest all feasting on some tasty shawarma after fighting an alien invasion. The scene was almost cut, but eventually left in, and it works as perfect comic relief after that huge climax. But one thing that you may have noticed is that while every other Avenger is eating some shawarma, Captain America is not. You may be thinking that maybe his 1940s palate isn't accustomed to shawarma. Or maybe you couldn't care less, but there is an actual practical reason as to why he's not taking part in the feast. Evans had actually grown a beard for the great Bong Joon-ho's movie Snowpiercer, something which would have broken the continuity as at that time, Cap was beardless. So instead of going the DC route and deciding to CGI out facial hair, we will never let that go by the way, Marvel decided to use a prosthetic piece over his jaw to hide it. Evans even put his arm in front of his face as cover, but that didn't stop co-star Robert Downey Jr. making jokes at his expense, likening Evans to Elephant Man. Maybe Evans does wish that they had used the CGI instead. If you've been a pro for as long as Robert Downey Jr. has, you learn how to get yourself through a long day of filming. One of the hardest parts of filming for long stints at a time is not getting a chance to eat.
I want an American cheeseburger.
As you can't really break for lunch in the middle of fighting hordes of aliens. So to combat the real enemy that is hunger, RDJ snuck food onto set, hiding it throughout so he could secretly and sometimes not so secretly munch on it. That's why we see RDJ eat a lot throughout the Marvel movies, even bringing the habit into the character and offering his fellow Avengers food, such as blueberries. Downey Jr. has done it in other films too, with the Judge co-star and the Kingpin himself, Vincent D'Onofrio, confirming RDJ does sneak food onto set. For most of us, we learned that we got a job via email or a phone call, but playing Spider-Man isn't exactly a regular job, and the way Tom Holland found out that he got the role wasn't exactly regular either. Holland may be one of the best actors to play the web slinger with his awkwardness and dorky charm channeling through the character, but before he was cast, he was relatively unknown. In fact, when Marvel were casting for the part, many believed that Asa Butterfield would be the man that they brought in, but surprised all of us when they announced Tom Holland as the part. In fact, Holland too was surprised as, like the rest of us, he found out about his casting via Instagram. Apparently, after 5 months of auditioning, Holland had been waiting 6 weeks to find out whether he got the part, only to have Marvel announce it on Instagram. When Marvel executive Kevin Feige finally called to tell him the news, Holland did not hide the fact that he already knew. Fans have since joked that if Marvel had told him, he would have spoiled the news, with Holland not exactly having the best track record at keeping secrets. I just hope he doesn't tell anyone that I actually dye my hair. Wait. Out of all of the Avengers movies, Age of Ultron is arguably the weakest link, with a somewhat repetitive and less exciting story than its comrades. One of the weakest aspects was its lack of action scenes from our favorite former KGB alien ass kicker Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, but there may have been a somewhat valid reason for this. Black Widow actor Scarlett Johansson was actually pregnant while filming the movie and couldn't really do the stunts and action sequences required for the role. Instead, baby bump removing CGI was used, as well as numerous stunt doubles who looked just like Johansson, with even the most eagle-eyed viewer finding it hard to see when Scarlett ended and a stunt double began. They even fooled those closest to her, with Chris Evans admitting that he actually started talking to the stunt doubles thinking they were Scarlett, only to find out halfway through the conversation that it was actually her stunt double. Yeah, we've all been there, Chris. I spent half of the original Avengers movie thinking that you were the most handsome member until I realized I was looking at Chris Hemsworth. Just kidding. Chris Evans, I love you too. Michael Douglas is an on-screen legend who has warranted a great deal of respect and adoration for his performances over the decades. One thing you probably wouldn't do when you see him, though, is flash him. Unless, of course, you are Paul Rudd. On the last day of shooting Ant-Man, Rudd decided to play a prank on his co-star by, exposing himself to Douglas in a Basic Instinct fashion. A scene in which Rudd chose to emulate as Douglas also appears in the movie. So Rudd not so gracefully exposed himself to Douglas during filming, and to be fair to Douglas, stayed in character until he eventually broke in the middle of a monologue and said, "What are you, a blanking pervert?" Which I can only imagine filled Rudd with a huge sense of dread, with a scolding from Douglas almost as scary as a Clint Eastwood growl, because that is scary. Thanos may be one of the most intimidating antagonists out there, with the power to snap away half the universe's population, and a chin that's bigger than most countries, but his behind-the-scenes look isn't quite as impressive. As you probably know, while Josh Brolin is a very talented actor, he isn't actually a giant purple alien, I know, plot twist, and he needed the help of CGI to turn him into the character. But his role wasn't just a cushy voice acting gig, with him actually on set with the other actors and helped to provide the motion capture of the character, especially with facial expressions. But as we mentioned, Brolin isn't a giant purple alien, and is in fact a lot shorter than the Mad Titan, so the production crew had to attach a foam head to the actor and raised it to the height of Thanos. This meant that Brolin's fellow actors didn't get to work face to face with him, but instead met the eye line of an expressionless foam head. Brolin's co-stars may have had difficulty working with a foam head, but at least for them, they weren't allergic to it. Unfortunately for Captain Marvel actor Brie Larson, she could not say the same thing about one of her co-stars. Larson shares and arguably loses the screen to her co-star Goose, who, although is in cat form, is actually a flurkin.
I'm trusting you not to eat me.
Larson, however, is allergic to cats and had to take a lot of pills so that she wouldn't have an allergic reaction. It also did not help that 4 cats played the part of Goose, so the producers decided to try and keep Larson's scenes with Goose to a minimum to prevent her allergies from coming to the forefront. Although Samuel L. Jackson's character Nick Fury probably wasn't too happy about the arrangement, with Goose taking his eye and giving him his iconic eye patch look. I am Groot. I am Groot.
I'm Groot.
Yeah, you said that.
It may be a simple line, but you can say it hundreds of times and give it a completely different meaning. Okay, well, I can't, but Vin Diesel can. Groot is easily one of the best parts about the Guardians of the Galaxy, despite the fact that he can only say one line. But somehow, each time Groot says this line, it has a different meaning, and that is down to the work of Vin Diesel. But you just can't play the same recording twice for a different result, meaning Vin Diesel had to record that line over 100 times, adding a different nuance every time. He even had to do it in several different languages, constantly saying the line but in a myriad of ways. Even so, I still find the role a little wooden. Wooden? Because it's Groot? Yeah? Okay, that one was bad. Avengers Infinity War left us all in shock after that huge twist. That's right, Captain America can rock a beard like the best of them.
I freaking love that beard on you. I don't want to see it go.
Okay, fanboy.
Oh, there was also another big twist where Thanos snaps away half of the universe's population, turning them all into dust before going off to be a farmer on a distant planet, but whatever. Like Cap's beard, we were all left in shock, but we were not the only ones. It turns out that a majority of the actors playing the characters didn't find out their fates until the day of filming. Scarlet Witch actor Elizabeth Olsen told MovieWeb that her and her co-stars were taken into a van on set where the Russo brothers told them their fates on the day of shooting. And of all places to do it, a van? While it may seem like short notice, the actors can at least take solace in the fact that they were told, unlike Shuri actor Letitia Wright, only finding out after seeing her character in black and white on a poster. What was your favorite behind-the-scenes moment? Which is your favorite MCU actor? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to Screen Rant for more Marvel content. See ya!